right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I hope you all are having a great Martin Luther King Day. We're still getting everyone just kind of put in from this waiting room here. So give us about a minute or so and we'll get going. If you all don't mind to just stick your name in the chat and your county and rename yourself also, the 3 dots to rename yourself so you can have your name and county, please. All right. Looks like everyone's about ready. Well, today, there you go. Today, we are very excited to have Mr. Tim Jedra with us. He's a carded judge and he'll be speaking all about horse judging today. So Tim, whenever you are ready, you can take it over.
Okay, well, good evening. Do I have any people that right off the bat are interested in judging horse shows or being a horse show judge? Speak up. No? Okay. Well, I'll give you a little bit about information about kind of how to become a professional horse show judge, and then also the opportunity if you would like to join a horse judging team at the 4-H level or collegiate level, what that might look like and how that's going to benefit you. Just because you go into that program is not for only people who want to go on and be professional horse show judges, but it can be, but it also will help individuals in an all-around sense of things. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So a little bit about myself. I am a carded judge. So I have cards with AQHA, so the American Quarter Horse Association, American Paint Horse Association, National Snaffle Bit, the Pinto Horse Association, Palominos, and the Ponies of America. And I started judging 4-H in open shows, which for that, some states require a state certification to judge 4-H, others don't. So you can kind of start with getting some experience in the 4-H and open shows. And then when you go on to breed shows, there's a process to that, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. I've gone on and judged the Quarter Horse Congress, which is the largest single breed show in the world, and then the POA Congress, and then even had the opportunities to travel internationally to Germany and judge the European Paint Horse Championships. Okay. But this is just to get us started. This is a little inspiration video that I kind of like to play for
I think
everyone.
we all need a pet shop. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we all on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My parts broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were 2 paths? I want to be the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing unless you dream stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, and keep going. Let Michael Jordan have quit. Well, he didn't quit. No, he retired. Yeah, yes, he retired. But before that, in high school, What if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. So everybody's good to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You just been pep talked. Create something that will make the world awesome. Play ball.
All right, so there's your little pep talk. I think for inspiration, I'm very passionate about horse judging, and I think that's how could be a good start for all of you if you're interested in that, of becoming awesome and continuing on and being future leaders. So how do you become a judge? And I kind of laugh at this slide just because if somebody you don't know, Stevie Wonder, who is actually blind, saying he's a professional painter, or people, I rode a horse at camp once, so I'm a horse trainer. That I think, if you're in a state that's not regulated by a 4-H kind of certification or open shows, pretty much anybody can hang up a sign and say they're a open horse show judge, which is good and bad. It leaves the door open for opportunity, but you have to kind of do your homework, and you don't know who you're getting because it's not regulated. So the show management has to do their due diligence, I guess, to make sure who they are hiring is actually capable of doing the job. So if you want to go on from that, the process to become a judge with an association is quite in depth. There's a lot of things that go into it. So as you get older, if you want to pursue that, you got to be a member with the association. You have to be at least 25 years. So you can judge 4-H, you can go on and judge collegiately, maybe someplace. Then there's going to be a little bit of downtime for an association, but that's the time you're going to want to get into some 4-H stuff and some open show judging and build some experience. They'll publish your name in the journal, which is a national publication. And that allows people to kind of send in letters if they have an opinion. There's a state selection committee. Then there's a regular judges committee. Then it goes to the executive committee. And then if you get through all of that and you're favorable, then you get invited to test. So you have to go through all of those things, even just to get the opportunity to take a test. So then when you get to the test, you have 200 questions in a closed rule book that you have to at least get an 80. So if that's round one, if you make that, then you go to the second one and you're going to judge 10 to 12 live classes that will have 6 horses each in them, in a mix of halter and performance. When you judge on a team, it's a little bit easier because there's only going to be 4 horses that will judge in a contest. You're going to have 6 to 10 video classes, and then an interview with at least 4 people where they're going to ask you questions about particular situations that you saw while you were judging. And then you're going to get ranked accordingly to the other contestants that are applying as well. And they, depending on the year, are going to take a top percentage. Sometimes they'll take the top 3, sometimes it's 4. It just kind of depends on what the committee decides that year. So only the top ones are going to be able to move on and actually get a card for that association. Then you have your card, and then off you go. So I kind of always joke about it that, once you go through all of that, you're kind of thrown to the wolves, and everybody has something out for you. So you have a target on your back, which it can be intimidating. So I think you have to be confident and really want to do that. And to get to that point, starts now with you guys at the age that you're at. And if you want to take advantage of a horse judging team. So this is going to require some interaction. I want you to think about if you wanted to become a judge, or think about what a judge is and what he does. What personal characteristics of would you like to see a judge have? You know, if some of you have horse shows that you want to go and the judge is there, he or she, what do we want to see those people like? What characteristics? Is anybody gonna chime in?
Nice,
Okay, nice.
friendly,
Okay,
understanding,
yeah.
fair,
Okay,
honest,
honest. That's a good one.
fair,
Yep.
Fair.
Fair, good, excellent, all good things. So first, I want to say knowledgeable. So the judge needs to know the rules. You know, whatever you're judging, you know, it's your responsibility to know the rules and know what it is that you're supposed to be judging, what that criteria is. So you're going to have to do some homework, some studying, know what you're looking for. So you want to make sure that that person knows that. Confident. You know, as I said, you kind of get your card and you go out there and, you know, everybody's going to be showing to you, they pay good money, and sometimes you're going to get questioned and they want to know why. And so you have to be confident. Fair, someone said, that's good. And honest, okay, you have to be able to set all politics aside, your opinions aside. Sometimes there will be friends in there. That's off the table. Fair and honest, and you're just going to judge by the rules and what you see and what's in front of you. Organized. So you have to be able to keep track of numbers. Everyone's going to have a back number. So you have to keep good notes and be organized so that you actually are placing them accordingly in the way that you want them to be. And efficient. Okay, so there is sort of a time period on that they come in, and you can't keep having individuals go round and round and around and around for you to make a decision. So you have to be efficient and make a decision and go on. So I think that these are all characteristics that, you know, are not just specific to be a horse show judge, but all things that will help you be successful in life. So, you know, if you start in a judging team and you learn all of these things and build that skill set, that's going to help you in anything that you do with your career. Okay, so I think if you get on a judging team, you have the opportunity to build a leadership. Public speaking, so we'll talk about oral reasons and how you can become a better speaker. Decision making, using logic, building confidence, and there's a lot more. You know, building friendships, camaraderie around with your other teammates, and go on. These are just a couple of pictures of collegiate teams that I have coached. Okay, so knowledge. Every association is going to have a rule book, and you need to know those. If you have multiple cards, you need to know those rule books. You don't have to memorize them front to back, but there's going to be, you can have them on hand, but you need to know the rules about it, but you can look it up if you need to know something specific. And that's something that you can never take education away. So I always encourage people to keep learning in whatever it is. So learn about the different rules of different associations and events that you don't know. Okay. It's going to make you think about things and kind of evaluate. And if you're judging conformation, it's the physical appearance of the animal and how their bone and muscle and other tissues are put together with them. So you need to know the parts of the horse if you're just going to judge halter. So that's important for you to study and be able to describe what you see, the specific parts of the horse, where they are. And when you get into the performance classes, you need to know each class is different. So each class is going to have its own set of rules. Okay, so we have a hunter hack horse on the top, a hunter under saddle, Western pleasure in this. So you need to know they're all going to go differently and just kind of think about that. Okay, sometimes people, if you grow up in one setting that you're comfortable with, you might not know what is normal or what is ideal for something else. So educate yourself that way. And then as you know those rules and understand those, it will be easy for you to judge and pick them apart. Sometimes we have classes of 4 in a contest if you want to become involved. So getting started, you don't have to be intimidated by having a class of 150 if you're judging at the Congress. So you'll have a class of 4. They can all be in the ring at the same time, depending on the class. Or if you're judging something like equitation or horsemanship, they're going to have a pattern that they have to do, and they probably will do one at a time, and then they'll do a route work. So that'll give you some time to be able to focus on one each as they go on their run, or they can all be in the arena together, and you just have to work on your time management and being efficient and going between each one. When you get into judging, okay, it's how you need to be organized and take notes. Okay, so in anything, if you are studying for a test in school, you're going to read something, you're going to take notes. Okay, so this is going to build that skill. Okay, how do you take those notes? Personalize it to your own style. Okay, here's an example with a notebook. If there's 4 horses in a class, some students will just divide their whole page into 4, put the class name at the top, and then an area to put their placings in the top right. And then negative and positive points, and you can put notes on each one. Okay, so whatever works for you in any style. Everyone has different learning styles. Shorthand, symbols, and eyes up. So I say shorthand just because if you have a class, generally that's less than 5 minutes a class. Okay, so you have to develop an eye. So you want to watch the class, you can't be looking down and writing your notes as you see things. So you can see a horse that's going fast. Okay, you can write FWD, meaning forward. And if that works for you and you know that horse is strong or fast, you can just kind of write that out versus writing a whole sentence that that horse was going fast at the trot. You can kind of do different things. There's not one set of rules that you need to learn with what shorthand looks like or what symbols you have to use. It's just kind of something that you have. And I will always have, so I have a little notebook here. When I'm judging a class, I'll actually hold it up almost at eye level so that I can look and watch the class above me, and I'm not down here looking at my notes down below. So hold it up and you can kind of look where you want to go with that. What format works for you? Terminology. Okay, so that's the education. You can learn the terms of the particular class that are going to be appropriate. And then we have to go on to oral reasons. So this is an area I think that discourages a lot of people from doing horse judging or any judging team. That I think is probably one of the stronger skills that, even though it's intimidating, is a really great life skill to go on and prepare yourself to be successful. So oral reasons are organized presentation, a speech per se, that you're going to give by memory, and you have to explain and then also defend to someone, the official that's going to be listening to you, why you placed the class the way you did. Okay, so now you're memorizing, there's public speaking because you're going to have to talk to someone that you don't know. It's not a big group of people, so it's just a one-on-one. And you have to defend your placing. So you have to be knowledgeable and be confident, and then tell them why you placed the class the way you did. You're not asking questions. You don't want to be hesitant or doubtful. You've made a decision. Now you're going to defend them in a set of oral reasons. They're going to be accurate, factual, descriptive, while being comparative. And I say use ER words or more. So when you have 4 horses and you need to create a defense, you're going to be comparing them. So something is more, or ER words when I say this horse is stronger than the second horse, or this horse is more consistent than the other one, or is weaker than the other, or more stylish, things like that. So you always want to compare and not just tell me this horse is balanced and structurally correct and has a nice top line. And we're not talking about good things just about that particular horse. You're comparing each horse to the others. 2 minutes. So you can practice, record yourself, talk, and you want to try to last as close to 2 minutes as you can. Okay, so generally 150 to 157 is the ideal time that you want to talk. If you go over 2 minutes, you're going to get penalized per block of seconds over that, but you're also going to get penalized if you come in and you only tell me I placed this class 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. So you want to really be able to have a conversation and talk and get as close to that 2 minute mark that you can do that. And that kind of sets you up to force you to use some descriptions and really think about different things and not just kind of give the same thing that you have to say for every horse. And you can learn some kind of key facts and terms that you can use in any set of reasons. Hopefully, doesn't matter on any given day. You can kind of pull from your trigger words. So for halter, hopefully someone's going to have a deeper, there's the ER word, deeper hearted, or a larger volume, longer pastern. If we're talking about Western pleasure, deeper loping individual, the hunter under saddle, lower frame, longer, flatter. Those things are all kind of buzzwords that you're going to use. If you're judging any hunter under saddle class, you should be able to talk about a horse that has a longer, flatter stride. So, you know, it's not something new every time. You're not reinventing the wheel. You can kind of have those things that are always in your mind, you know, when you talk about a class without even seeing a horse, that hopefully you can match up to what you see and make sure that it's truthful for what you're telling me. If, you know, I see something come in and it's, you know, a short, small pony that's trotting really fast, don't tell me that it's, you know, moving slowly and has a flat knee and is soft if it's not. But definitely know those terms, good and bad, and then apply them to what you want to say in that. And that's going to build confidence. Okay. It will be frustrating. It will be tough to count, you know, people get stuck or forget or do things. So it is something that requires practice. You have to practice and build that confidence. But I promise once you get used to that and you keep going and then you're successful at it, you'll go on and be good about that. You know, I think one of the neat feedbacks that I get from some students that have been on my team is that, you know, from giving oral reasons and getting comfortable with that, it really ties over into a job interview. You know, when you have to go into a job interview and talk to someone, sometimes it's one person, your future boss interviewing, sometimes it's a panel of people that are all going to ask you questions. And if you can sit there and have that conversation and be confident and interact with them, you're going to have all those skills just from participating on a judging team and be prepared. And that's going to give you an advantage when it comes to that. You know, we've had employers that have called the university, asking for a list of judging team members to recruit them, because they know that those individuals have really been practicing and are strong and can, use logic and think, make decisions, and then defend them. Okay, when you have a group of 4 horses, there's going to be 3 pairs, or 4 anything. It doesn't have to be horses that you're judging. It can be, 4 different types of pens that you have on your desk. Okay, when you have 4, you have 3 pairs: the top 1 and 2, the second and third place, and then the bottom pair, which is the third and fourth place. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, the top pair is 1 and 2, the middle group is 2 and 3, and then the bottom is 3 and 4. And those are what you're going to talk and compare those. It's just like writing a paper. So again, going into this, it will build your writing skills and kind of organizing your thoughts if you have to go on and apply into other areas. You're going to have an opening statement. There's a body to it. So the body is your pairs. And then you're going to have a conclusion, which is basically summarizing the criteria that you used and how you placed it, and then you're done. Okay. When we're talking about things too, we don't always focus on the negative and what's wrong with things. You focus on the positive, and there's always something that you can say that is better about someone than, or a horse better than the horse that placed above it. Even if it's the last place horse, try to find something that is good about that horse, because that person that you're giving reasons to may own that last place horse. So even if it is really bad, try to find something good about it. And I think you can generally do that, whether it's an expression at a particular point, or it can be simple walking, or you can throw in there how it was groomed, just something to say good. You're not always talking negative and putting, focusing on what's going wrong. We talk about all of the good things as well, and give credit to those horses and riders so that you can improve. Okay, so this is a little bit of a test. Okay, we have a hunter under saddle class. Okay, and this is going to make you think and be efficient. You're not going to have a lot of time, so you're going to have to look, make a decision. If you guys want to write it down, you can. Okay, we have 4 horses, and you're going to see them trot individually. But you get 1 shot. Okay, when you're watching horses live, you don't get a replay of the class. So that's a skill that you have to be confident in yourself. Watch it, make a decision, write it down, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so just make sure. Okay, so these are what your horses look like. Okay. Anybody feel like they didn't have enough time, or you want to see that again? Yeah. Sorry, can't. But that's how you feel. Like you have to look and watch that. Now you guys maybe aren't used to seeing this, so yeah, it's tough. And, you know, when you're in a class, if you have 4, you do have the opportunity, you know, they're going to go around the arena at least once, but you're going to look around and not just watch one horse at a time. But, you know, as that number goes up, if you have 15 horses in the arena and they're only going to trot 1 or 2 laps around, you don't have time to watch one horse go all the way around. You have to be able to look, make a decision, and move on and go with that. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to go on, and now we're going to go to watch them canter. Let's see. Okay, same thing, short amount of time. We're going to watch them go. Okay, and that's it, actually. Okay. So now you've watched 2 different things. We have to kind of think about what's back, what we saw with the trot, and then onto what's like we saw in the canter. So here's how I'd place them. Okay, just for watching those different things. When I looked at the trot, 4, 3, 1, 2. Then I watched the canter. Still the 4th place horse was, you know, kind of my winner, and the 2 was at the bottom, but I kind of switched. I switched that middle pair going to the canter. That's when you're going to watch that class kind of keep going. You may have that, you know, pair that you're not sure can go either way. Some are going to be better than the others. Watch what happens the second direction and then make a pair. Sometimes if you have 2 judges in the arena, if you swap those pair, to me, that's going to be close. You could probably talk either way. It just depends on, you know, what you're going to tell me. If you're going to pin that 1 horse over 3, you're going to tell me it has a better canter and it's softer and it has a more ground covering stride. Okay. If you want to pin that 3rd place horse first in the set of reasons in your notes, you should say it has, you know, it's more free flowing at the trot and has a flatter knee and more drive from behind. So it all depends on what you talk about. Even if the official is something different, if you can still earn points as long as you tell me what you saw is true. Okay.
Tim, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I thought, so I had put 4, 1, 3, 2.
Yep.
Even from the trot, I felt like the trot of horse number 1. I thought the rider was more distracting than the horse. So I kept like looking at the rider. So how do you, as a judge, if you have a super quality horse, but the rider like leaves to be desired, do you like try to forget the rider and like just look at, you know what I mean? Because I felt that horse 1, the rider was, that's why his trot wasn't as good, because the rider was like struggling.
Yep. Yeah, it's tough. You know, I kind of say you try not to have fire eyes and focus on one thing. You know, I kind of step back and think, look back and not really focus in, but almost defocus, and then kind of let it just flow and happen. If you kind of zone in and focus on the rider, you know, then you're gonna be distracted by that. You know, for me, you know, the 3 horse was a little more round and going at the trot. So that's why I kind of like that. But then, you know, when I got to the pair of them cantering, for me, this canter is a little smoother and a little more ground covering, and he's a little rounder in his back. When you get to the 3 horse, you know, now isn't as round, head's coming up a little bit, the stride is a little quicker. And for me, you know, watching that horse go, when you see a horse have a hollow back, if you watch her lower leg and the way she's sitting, that shows also kind of that horse is hollow because she's kind of sitting back and going, and it's not as smooth, which is why I switched it in that one. So it just kind of depends in the overall placing, you know, it just kind of what you want to do, you know. Generally, hunter under saddle classes, I think horses are going to pin on the trot. You know, you're not going to pin a horse on and tell me it won the class because it had the best walk. You know, so it just kind of depends on what else happens in that class. But I think you would have people that could swap that middle pair and be okay, you know, but clearly 4 was the winner and 2 was at the bottom. Okay. When we're judging conformation, we're going to look quick at this class. Okay. So the most important thing is balance, okay? And when we talk about balance, we want the horse to be in 3 equal parts. So the front part of the horse, kind of this section forward, the middle part, and then from the last rib cage back, okay? 3 equal parts. We like a nice, strong, level top line over the top. A ratio of 1 to 2. So sometimes we talk about the shape of a trapezoid from the hip angle and the shoulder angle, filling that and kind of looking at the same. So just looking at balance, often I just kind of look at and focus on the center core of all of them. Okay. Horses here. Okay. I have 2 horses that kind of look to me. I'm going to make a decision when I judge a class. You have 4 of them. I'm going to walk and look at their profile first at all of them, and then you can kind of go from there. But that's how you're going to judge balance, is looking from the profile. Okay. Anybody want to take a shot at who they think the winner of this class would be? Go ahead.
Number 1.
Okay, so up here. Anybody have a different place?
I would say 1, 3, 2, 4 would be my placing.
Okay, so 1 is the upper left, 3 is lower left, and then 2 the upper right, and then down here. So I would pin this class 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay. And you would make that decision. If you got it right, there you go. That's your confidence. And then you're going to tell me those things. Okay. Now, what you're not going to do is you're not going to tell me that this horse has a, you know, if we have to grant something, you're not going to tell me that this horse has a stronger top line than this one. Okay. So make sure what you're using and what you're talking about is relevant to that class. You know, but there's always something, you know, that can do. And even if it is, you know, I'm going to look at, you know, this horse. Okay. We're going to talk about balance. Then, you know, you'll learn to go about structural correctness, which is legs and feet and angles. When I look at this horse, he's a little steep in his pastern. So if I had to grant this one as well, a little steep, if I had to grant even these horses who are clearly lower quality, they are better angled in their pastern, okay, than those. Now, that's not as important when you know, that's one minor thing that's better. You know, there's a whole lot of other things that we can add up that are much better, which is why they're not winning the class. But there's always something that you can see that you're going to talk about. And then you have to do that. You know, one time early on, I pinned a horse very poorly that was a multiple world champion, and I did not. It was actually a pastern. I did not like it. She was steep in the pastern, and they asked me why, and that's what I said. And the response was, "Did you look at the rest of her?" Because she was beautiful and the most balanced, the strongest top line, and all of those things that you could just keep going on with the list that was better. But I was going to stick to she had a steep pastern. So think about that when you're doing those things. Okay. then I'm gonna skip this one. So here's just an example I'm gonna play that is a old student of mine, just kind of starting and preparing for a contest, and her set of reasons. So you'll have listen for an intro, the comparison of pairs, and then a summary, okay? I think the intro is cut off just a tad.
For the Western horsemanship is 2431, finding a higher quality horse and rider pair in 2, and closing with the most severely penalized in 1. In my initial pair, I placed 2 over 4. 2 was a more professional rider that was square in her shoulders, stronger in her core, and tighter in her lower leg, resulting in her sitting deeper in the saddle at all gaits. Also, 2 performed the power with a higher degree of difficulty, showing a greater difference in speed between the extended and collected lope, it being more precise in the location of her flying lead change. I'll be the first to admit that 4 was more direct in her cueing during the turns, allowing the sorrel to turn quicker. Yet I placed her second, as she was more rigid through her upper body and weaker in her lower leg. Even so, I placed 4 over 3 in my intermediate pair. 4 maintained a straighter line from elbows to bit throughout the class, causing her to ride with a more desirable contact and to be less noticeable in her cueing. As well as this, 4 had a stronger base of support at the jog. I do recognize that 3 was more centralized in the saddle while loping on the left lead. Yet I placed him third as he was weaker in his core, causing his lower leg to drift forward. Still, I opted to place 3 over 1 in my final pair, as 3 was simply a less severely penalized and more functionally correct individual. More specifically, the solid bay more efficiently maintains forward motion at the extended lobe. I will concede that 1 exhibited a straighter line from shoulder to hip to heel and held her arms more naturally at her sides. Nevertheless, I criticized 1 as she incurred a major penalty for breaking gait at the extended lobe. Therefore, she is 4th in the Western horsemanship, placed 2-4-3-1. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a set of reasons, and she went just about 150, 152. Okay, so that's the amount of content that you would have. Stand there, talk to someone. You heard a lot of more or less, a lot of ER words, straighter, stronger things, because she was comparing those. So that's just kind of a example that you would have to do and prepare for that, just in a contest setting.
For the Western.
Okay. We grade those in a contest on a scale of 1 to 50. So talk about what you saw, you know, the actual differences. You got to tell the truth, the organized. So do you tell me the top pair, the middle pair, the bottom pair, and actually reflect how you place them using the terminology. So those key buzzwords that you're going to know in the delivery of the presentation, and making eye contact. So you want to be able to think about the class and visualize it in your head and just talk about it, but not memorize necessarily the piece of paper that you have. Whenever you're giving a presentation to anybody, you don't want to, that you have to remember. You need to visualize it and talk about it that way and remember what you're seeing versus memorizing what's on the paper, because then you're trying to remember and talk about what's on that paper, not what the horses that you saw in that class. So you can take notes and have those and work through those. And when you write a set of reasons, you can write that out, and that's the start, but try not to just go word for word, because then if you miss one word, you get off. Okay, but be able to talk about, you know, something that sticks out. You know, we talk about using IDs. You can add a horse, you know, a Palomino with 2 hind white socks, or sometimes there's a boy riding or a bay. Markings are often ways that you can remember those types of things. Okay, now, if you're still not convinced, okay, going onto a judging team, you know, think about, even if you're in a career, you never are going to be a horse show judge, but you were on a team, you go out, and then your boss is going to give you a problem to solve. Okay, your head of marketing, your company for Christmas wants to buy travel mugs for all of its employees, and the boss wants you to pick and rate them. Okay, so you have to use all those things that you're going to be learning and building those skills with a judging team. Knowledge, so you're going to have to learn about them. You know, what makes a good travel mug. Make a decision, compare them, and then if you want, you're going to have to report back to your boss. Okay, so here's 4 essentially travel mugs. Okay, so you don't have to think about this just judging horses. Okay, if you want to buy a travel mug, okay, everybody's in charge of which one do we want to go with. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 for coffee. Make a decision. Somebody who hasn't spoken yet. Tell me rank them in the order that you would have if you wanted to buy a coffee mug.
3, 1, 2, 4.
2, 4. Okay, and why?
3 looks like the thermos the most, and it'll keep your coffee warm, and it probably has the most amount. The second one, the first one I meant, looks a little smaller and made a little worse, I guess.
Okay.
The second one wouldn't keep your coffee like in. If you're traveling, it would spill.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth one, it probably would not keep your coffee warm. I don't know.
Yeah.
Looks like a water bottle.
Yeah. So if I wanted to organize, I would place this class of coffee mugs 3, 1, 2, 4. Okay. And then you could talk about, you know, I placed 3 over 1 as it is going to hold the most volume and will keep your coffee the warmest or keep it warmer. Looking at this one, you know, if I had to grant something, I like that it has a handle. So you could say, you know, would be more convenient if you wanted to hold it if you were moving. Okay, same thing. Then you could then switch to this pair. You know, it could be the grant for this one is a nice clean white mug. If you wanted to add your company logo, it would show up the best. That's something good you could say about it. Okay, and then this one, you know, unfortunately is gonna not keep the coffee warm. Say, but I do appreciate that it has the volume of coffee if you wanted to keep track of the amount that you were drinking. It is for these reasons that I place the class of coffee mugs 3, 1, 2, 4. Okay, but that would be a skill that you would be able to look, make the decision, decide those, then go to your boss, report those, be confident, and be able to defend why you should buy the 3rd mug for everybody. Okay, so that's kind of what I always think about, just building those skills, and it will help you. Oops. Questions? I kind of add this picture. I also, you know, I think starting with this is kind of a personal one, starting with college horse judging. I have been actually 3 of these 4 girls have all been married since their college team. They have all been in each of each other's weddings, and I have been invited to all of their weddings. So you really do build relationships that last, will last for the rest of your life. And you spend a lot of time together. It's working. It's tough, but it's a great thing to do, to get involved in and work with teammates, and everyone's a team. So that part I enjoy about it too. So I think you will build other relationships with people that have the same passion as you. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, that is it for me. I think I probably could have put add my phone number and email. If anybody wants to reach out or has any questions, feel free to email me or call me if you have a question about how to get involved. If you want to become a judge in the future, I know you guys are all young and aspiring and have different things. Maybe it's something you're toying around, but definitely look into your extension stuff for opportunities if you can get involved in a judging team. You know, there's livestock judging teams, horse judging teams. You can judge food, you can judge flowers. There's, you know, any part really in life. So.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mary Jane. Yeah, for speaking to us. I think that this is very informative. Obviously, as someone that oversees a 4-H horse program, we're always trying to improve, you know, our judging skills. I know that we take our kids, you know, to Southern Regionals, we take our kids to Quarter Horse Congress and Eastern Nationals. But I think that one of the most important things that about judging is exactly what you said about afterwards, you know, even after you graduate from 4-H or even college, you know, all the skills that you build, and I wrote them down because I think that they are so important for the rest of your life, you know, especially, you know, when you need to defend your position, and if your position happens to be, you know, successful, then the confidence that you get, you know, to be able to move on through life, you know, successful. Yep. So I think that to me is one of the most important things that I have learned actually from you of why judging teams help a person, you know, even in the adulthood, even if they never ever want to judge a horse or anything ever again in their lives. Yep. I think that to me is just, you know, mind-blowing on things that I hadn't thought about. So thank you so very much.
Actually, the gal that to me was the high individual at the Arabian National Contest did not come from a horse background, had never ridden, had never been to a horse show, and will never be involved in the horse industry, but she liked horses. She actually was a communications major. And I can teach anybody to, you know, to judge and use logic and think about those and study the rules and know what you see. And she was the high individual at the contest, not a horse person, but she liked to do that and built friendships and learned those skills.
Yeah, no, I like it. And I also like what you say about, you know, always find something positive, even if it's about the last horse, because the truth is, you know, some horses cannot help it. They are just not well put together. You know, this is what God gave them. So finding something nice, you know, about them, it's, I think, challenging sometimes, but I think it also shows, you know, the kind of heart that a person has to be able to find nice things, even in the face of, you know, something that are so negative. So I really, really like that idea too, you know, and even if it applies, you know, to other facets of your life, try to be, which is exactly what you said in the beginning, be positive, think positive and be positive. And I really, really think we could use that a little bit more, you know, going through life. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
No?
Guess not. All right. Well, if you haven't put your name in the...
Yeah. I was going to say, Mary Jane, if you guys have any questions about how to, if you have a judging team in your county, or, you know, if you don't even have a club in your county, so email either me or Mary Jane so we can figure out, you know, a way to put you together with a team, or ask your agent about teams, etc. So if you have any desire to do that. So sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine. No, that's great. Absolutely. And also just make sure your name and county's in the chat box, and that'll be it for this month. So thank you all for coming. And again, thank you, Tim. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Talk to you later.